Alright folks, it's story time. We open on an execution ceremony. A guy named Gabimaru is sitting calmly in an execution yard like it's just another boring Tuesday. The executioner steps up and swings with full force at his neck, clang, and not even a scratch. He goes crazy. Each swing gets him more desperate until, finally, crack. The blade snaps clean in half against Gabimaru's neck. The crowd's losing their minds, but Gabimaru, he hasn't moved an inch. Later, back in his cell, we find out this isn't your average death row inmate. Gabimaru's a shinobi, raised since childhood to kill, endure pain, and survive, to the point where his body forgot how to die. Watching all this is a woman named Sigiri, calm, collected, and taking notes like she's grading an exam. To her, the sword snapping isn't shocking. For a ninja, she says, that's light work. Gabimaru just shrugs, basically saying the executioner's technique was trash anyway. So the Lord tries again. This time, they light him on fire. Flames everywhere, heat blazing, and through the inferno, Gabimaru's just standing there with glowing eyes like some kind of demon from hell's sauna. The Lord starts sweating bullets, realizing his entire execution squad is getting clowned by one guy in cuffs. Later, back in his cell again, Gabimaru insists he's not resisting, he wants to die, totally believable, except for the part where nothing can kill him. Sigiri, still curious, asks about his past. Turns out, this guy never even knew his parents, rumor says the village chief killed them. Real nice community they had there. Gabimaru talks like he's describing someone else's life, trained to kill, never allowed to leave, betrayed by his own people the second he tried to walk away. Because apparently, in his village, retirement is a capital offense. The next day, they try the bull method, tie his limbs to some angry beasts and see what happens. Spoiler, the bulls give up first. At this point, Sigiri's not just fascinated, she's suspicious. It's not that he can't die, it's that he won't. She asks why he really left the village. Gabimaru says he was the best, the chief's golden boy, even got married to the chief's daughter. Then he plays it off, saying he left because he was bored. Sure buddy, that's totally how normal marriages end. That night, a guard warns Sigiri that Gabimaru's a monster, kill 20 men like it was nothing. But Sigiri's not buying it. Something about him doesn't add up. If he's truly hollow, why is he fighting so hard to live? Meanwhile, Gabimaru's in his cell debating if he should just end it himself. But even when he's being boiled alive, his body refuses to give in. He keeps saying he's got no attachments, yet there's clearly something keeping him tethered. Then Sigiri steps in with a new plan. She takes him down a dark tunnel where the Lord is already celebrating his finally successful execution. Joke's on him, Sigiri's actually an executioner from the Yamada clan, the people famous for cutting off heads so clean it's practically art. One swing, one head, that's their motto. Gabimaru takes one look at her and knows this one's not bluffing. She swings, he dodges, and for the first time, she actually cuts him. Just a scratch, but enough to make him realize she's the real deal. Then Sigiri calls him out, says he's been lying this whole time. He does care. About his wife. That's why he can't die. Those words hit harder than her blade. Suddenly, we flash back, and there she is. Gabimaru's wife. Gentle, kind, face burned by her own father to remind her of her duty. And yet, she's still smiling, still full of light. She told Gabimaru he wasn't hollow, that his heart still had warmth. Hearts don't burn so easily, she said before kissing him. That's when it clicked for him. He didn't just want to survive anymore, he wanted peace. A simple life, far from blood and shadows. But that dream? That's what got him betrayed. Snapped back to the present, Gabimaru's fury ignites. He and Sigiri clash again, sparks flying, tension rising. He insists it's too late for him, that he's too far gone. Sigiri disagrees. Instead, she unveils a pardon, straight from the shogun himself. Freedom, protection, redemption, if he accepts one mission. Gabimaru pauses. Sigiri explains there's a mysterious island called Shinsenko, a so-called paradise said to hold the Elixir of Life, the key to immortality. But when the first expedition returned, all they brought back was a boat full of flowers, and one corpse blooming among them. Now the shogun wants answers, and he's sending death row criminals to fetch the elixir. Whoever survives gets a full pardon. And after everything she's seen, Sigiri believes Gabimaru the Hollow might just be the one crazy enough to make it back alive. So, Sigiri drops the final card on the table. Gabimaru's wife is still alive, waiting for him back in the village, and the only ticket to see her again? Join the expedition. That one line hits harder than any sword. But before Gabimaru can even process it, the Lord loses his temper and orders his men to finish him off for good. Big mistake. Gabimaru's eyes flicker, his body ignites in a flash of white-hot flame, and suddenly, the whole place looks like a fireworks show gone wrong. Guards rush him. Bad idea. He slices through them like they're paper dolls, the fire swirling around him like he's made of pure rage. The Lord collapses in terror, And Gabimaru just stands there, calm as ever, agreeing to the expedition, not to die, but to live, and to see her again. Then we cut to Sigiri's past. Her father once executed a man so flawlessly the poor soul didn't even realize he was dead. That moment etched itself into her memory. The precision, the grace, the horror. She trained to match it, and she did, but mastery didn't quiet the guilt. Every night the faces of the people she'd executed came back to haunt her. Her mentor, Aizen, once told her, "Doubt dulls your blade. Fear turns mercy into agony." He made her face herself, literally. "Look into your sword," he said, "the truth always stares back." Back in the present, Sigiri blindfolds Gabimaru and leads him into a grand chamber where a bunch of other convicts are waiting. At the front sits the shogun. The deal is simple: sail to Shinsenko, find the Elixir of Life, and earn a royal pardon. Freedom, if you survive. Whispers ripple through the room. Some prisoners scoff at the idea of a mythical paradise, calling it a bedtime story for desperate fools. But then, they're shown proof. A corpse from the first expedition, half man, half flower, blooming like a cursed bouquet. Yeah, not the kind of paradise you'd book a vacation to. The laughter dies instantly. One convict, Nuru Guy, pipes up, asking if the elixir even exists. The official just shrugs like, "Believe what you want." Then he casually offers anyone a chance to back out, and when one guy actually tries, he's executed on the spot. Message received loud and clear. The official explains that each convict will be assigned a Yamada Asemon monitor. Step out of line or kill your monitor, and you're done. And if your monitor dies, guess what? You die too. The shogun, getting bored, whispers something to his aide, who announces they'll be trimming the numbers before setting sail. Translation: less rations, less trouble. The room goes tense. Then this one guy, Shobei, figures it out, grabs another inmate and kills him right there. "Can't you see?" he yells. "They want us to kill each other." The official gives a smirk. Correct. And that's all it takes. Chaos erupts. Steel clashes, blood sprays, the air fills with screams. The shogun watches like it's primetime entertainment, while the officials just sigh at the mess. When someone asks who the strongest one here is, all eyes turn to Gabimaru, the man who hasn't even moved. Nobody's dumb enough to go near him. Aizen notices Sigiri's hesitation and warns her, "If you can't stomach this, the island will break you." He even tells her to quit while she can, go live a peaceful life. Sigiri just gives a tired smile and says, "If I could, I would." Her thoughts drift to when she was a kid, mocked for being born into a family of executioners. One day, she picked up her father's sword and saw something horrifying. Faces, hundreds of them, clinging to the blade. From that day on, she's carried that weight. Now, standing in the middle of the chaos, a few criminals think she's easy prey. Bad move. Sigiri moves like water, graceful, lethal, merciful. Each strike is clean, swift, almost kind. But even after the fight, she feels the ghosts closing in again until Gabimaru speaks. "Killing is never okay," he says quietly, "even if we have to." He turns to the officials and asks if there's any other way to decide who goes. Says not everyone here wants to add more blood to the pile. They laugh, of course. One man steps forward to attack, hurling a stone at Gabimaru. He dodges like it's nothing, still trying to reason with the guy. But when the man charges again, Gabimaru exhales and mutters, "Then die with your burden." What follows is over in seconds, clean, brutal, efficient. By the time the echoes fade, everyone's just standing there, shaken. Even the shogun looks uneasy now. Sigiri watches Gabimaru through her sword's reflection and sees the same thing she saw in her own, countless spirits swirling around him, but unlike her, he doesn't flinch, he just carries them. And in that moment, Sigiri finally understands. It's not about erasing doubt or fear. It's about bearing them, every ghost, every regret, and still choosing to move forward. When the officials finally call an end to the slaughter, only 10 remain, the strongest, the deadliest, and the most broken. These are the ones chosen to set sail for Shinsenko, the island of paradise, or hell, depending on how lucky you are. And just like that, the convicts set sail. The ocean's calm, but the vibe? Yeah, that's pure dread. As the mainland fades behind them, Gabimaru's mind drifts to an old haunting memory. His village chief, stabbed a dozen times, standing there like it's a mild inconvenience. The man refused to die, his flesh knitting itself back together thanks to some strange medicine from a faraway land. That image branded itself into Gabimaru's mind. Immortality wasn't myth, it was real. And maybe, just maybe, that island ahead was where it came from. When Shinsenko finally looms out of the fog, it's breathtaking. Too breathtaking. The place looks like a painting. All lush greenery, glittering water, and eerie calm. Sigiri calls it paradise. Gabimaru just narrows his eyes and mutters, "Pretty things usually hide teeth." The guy's got instincts, and they're screaming. He casually snaps his restraints like they're made of string, which earns him a sharp glare from Sigiri. She orders him to tie them back up. He just gives her this seriously look, pointing out that they've got a hand-drawn map, 3 days of food, and zero idea what's waiting ahead. Sigiri doesn't blink. I'm not your ally, she says, I'm your executioner. Reluctantly, Gabimaru sighs and lets her bind him again, only for a massive iron ball to slam into him like a meteor, sending him flying across the sand. The ball whips back on its chain to its owner, a mountain of a man named Kayan, a warrior monk who collects weapons from the dead. The guy's monitor, Kisho, watches lazily. Sigiri tries to question him, but Kisho just smirks, calling her two by the book, and the lowest-ranked executioner of the clan. Real charmer, that one. Kion, meanwhile, is practically vibrating with excitement, showing off his collection of blades like a kid with new toys. He charges in. Gabimaru, still halfway through retying his restraints, dodges every blow with bored precision. Weapons break against him like cheap plastic until finally, Kion thrusts a spear forward, and Gabimaru, having just finished tying the knot, casually shatters it. Blades scatter through the air, and Gabimaru kicks one back mid-flight, sending it straight through Kion's chest. For a second it looks over. But then Kion staggers up again, grinning through the blood, muttering that they're just getting started. Gabimaru sighs. Wrong answer. He moves like lightning, turning Kion's own weapons against him and ending it cleanly. Before anyone can blink, Kisho steps forward and beheads Kion himself. When Gabimaru eyes him warily, asking if he's looking for a fight too, Kisho shakes his head. I don't pick sides, he says, I just finish jobs. Then, wiping his blade, he warns Sigiri that Gabimaru's going to be a handful. Oh, and by the way, the other convicts? Already killing each other. They'll keep going, he adds, until only one's left. Elsewhere, that prediction proves horrifyingly accurate. One monitor tries to secure their boat when his criminal, Rokurota, suddenly snaps and devours him alive. Honestly, I am shocked. I was expecting this guy to last longer than this. Bodies pile up fast, and Kisho's voice echoes like a grim prophecy. The Shogun doesn't care. Every corpse will just be replaced by another. Many of these killers, he says, come from Gabimaru's own village, and some, like Sigiri, from the Yamada clan itself. Before leaving, he tells her one last thing. Stay sharp. When he's gone, Sigiri's left watching Gabimaru, quietly wondering who he really is beneath that calm, deadpan mask. She doesn't get long to think. Gabimaru suddenly lunges. Instinct kicks in. She meets him blade to blade, steel ringing out as sparks fly. For Gabimaru, the fight is a storm of memory and fury. He sees his parents, cut down by the chief when they tried to flee the village. He remembers the lesson drilled into him. Emotions are weakness. Mercy is death. Sigiri tries to reason with him, reminding him that attacking her is breaking the shogun's orders, but Gabimaru snaps back. He can't waste time. If the other shinobi from his village reach the island first, the elixir's gone. To him, Sigiri's just another obstacle. Their clash intensifies, both holding back something they can't quite name. Sigiri's blade trembles. Gabimaru feels it too, that invisible chain of doubt, guilt, something human. Then, memories of his wife flash before him. Her voice, soft but unshakable, telling him to trust his heart, that even a shinobi's soul can change. That same tenderness that once made him hesitate on missions now makes him stop mid-swing. He finds an opening but can't take it. Sigiri seizes the moment and pushes him back. Gabimaru grits his teeth, calling it weakness. The voice of his old chief taunts him in his mind. Feelings will get you killed. He tries to bury it all, to erase the man his wife believed in. His strikes grow harsher, faster, until Sigiri's sword finally snaps under the pressure. She blocks the last blow with her sheath, staring up at him as he towers over her, torn between instinct and something deeper. Then it happens. His composure cracks. Tears spill down his face as he admits the truth. He still feels. He's not hollow. Not anymore. Sigiri exhales slowly and tells him the one thing he's never heard before. That emotion isn't weakness. It's strength. The kind that keeps you human, even when the world tries to burn it out of you. She decides to let his outburst slide, wanting to see if he can finally face what's eating him inside and start reclaiming his life. She tells him softly that he's not the hollow man he once was, and maybe it's time he started believing that too. Meanwhile, on another part of the island, Tamiya stares in disbelief at his hand, a butterfly's sting blooming on his skin. The memory of the man who returned from this cursed island flashes through his mind, and without a second thought, he chops his own hand clean off. Blood spills, the butterfly falls, and when he crushes it underfoot, the remains twist to reveal a tiny, human-like face. Fuchi, his executioner, stands frozen as the severed hand suddenly sprouts flowers, real flowers blooming from flesh. From the forest, shapes begin to emerge, misshapen figures that seem half human, half plant, the very air trembling with their unnatural presence. Elsewhere, Gabimaru and Sigiri find themselves surrounded too. From the mist, a massive fish-like creature rises, its body pulsing with life that shouldn't exist. Gabimaru tells Sigiri to stay back as he steps forward, eyes narrowing in focus. We cut to Tamiya's past, a swordsman of unmatched skill and pride. His name alone carried weight among nobles, but arrogance proved his downfall. At a banquet, one careless insult sent him into a frenzy. He cut down his lord and destroyed his own home in the process, earning the title of a monster. Now, on this island, he's chasing something beyond redemption, perhaps the death he once dodged. Fuchi, curious as ever, walks beside him, revealing his surgical tools and explaining that the Yamada clan studies human anatomy to craft better medicine. Tamiya scoffs but listens, unaware of the horror creeping ever closer. Back with Gabimaru, the fish monster lunges, its arm whipping through the air. Gabimaru dodges, countering with a brutal kick that cracks its skull. But the creature grabs him midair and slams him into the ground again and again. Gabimaru grits his teeth, remembering one of the shinobi's core rules: never fight what you don't understand. He tries to fall back, but the beast seizes him again, throwing him across the trees. For the first time, Sigiri sees him bleed and shouts for retreat, but it's too late. The ground shakes as more giants crawl from the mist, their footsteps echoing like thunder. Gabimaru's expression hardens. Enough running. Flames erupt around him as his ninjutsu ignites the jungle. He slices through one giant's neck, then tears through another, a blur of violence that leaves nothing standing. Sigiri watches, frozen between awe and fear. This man she's meant to execute moves like a god of death. Then, from behind her, another giant swings. She dodges, but writhing vine-like creatures grab her arms and legs, pinning her down. Just as the giant's fist descends, Gabimaru's blade cuts through its arm in one clean strike. The beast collapses, and the fire dies with it. Gabimaru breathes hard, the blood on his face snapping him out of his trance. Before they can recover, another figure appears, a single slash, and the fish monster is decapitated. Executioner Genji steps out, blade still dripping. Beside him stands Yuzuriha, the kunoichi, with a teasing smirk that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "You handled the other monsters alone? Impressive," she says, her voice sweet but sharp. Gabimaru narrows his eyes, immediately sensing trouble. When she edges closer, brushing his arm, he catches her wrist in an instant, warning her not to try her tricks on him. She laughs softly, pretending innocence. "Relax," she says, "I was just testing you." She proposes an alliance, claiming that working together is the only way to survive. Sigiri, ever the observer, asks why she has two executioners. Genji explains that Yuzuriha killed her assigned one, so he joined her to make sure she doesn't turn on anyone else. Gabimaru gives him a flat look, clearly thinking Genji's fallen for her act. Another man steps forward, quiet and composed. Senta, her second monitor. Wasuria shifts the conversation, explaining the island's dangers. "Those butterflies," she says, "they're not just bugs, they kill. Their poison's instant, and their wings cause hallucinations." She admits she learned this the hard way by experimenting on another convict. Senta adds that the monsters they've seen wear Buddhist ornaments, implying they might once have been human or even worshippers. The realization hangs heavy. For now, Sigiri agrees to cooperate, and even Gabimaru nods, though he clarifies that he'll fight alongside them, not with them. As they move forward, Sigiri reflects on everything since they arrived, the death, the madness, the monsters, but before she can think deeper, her world tilts. Her vision blurs, and she collapses. The story then shifts. Far away, a young man named Toma kneels before his mentor, Izen. To become an executioner, he must prove himself by taking a life. He agrees, but with one condition: the condemned man must be his brother, Chobi. Their story unfolds in flashes of memory, two brothers orphaned and starving, taken in by bandits, only to rise as leaders through cunning and cruelty. Now, in the present, they stand shoulder to shoulder against three colossal monsters. Toma hesitates, but Chobi doesn't. He charges forward, reading the battlefield in an instant, every move precise, every strike lethal. He's always been like that, the kind of man who thrives in chaos. Chobi slices through a towering giant, but his blade snaps under the sheer force, forcing him to grab Toma and retreat. As they run, a massive hand grabs Toma by the hair, yanking him off his feet. Chobi charges back with a stolen axe, only to be struck across the face by a wooden staff as a deep, resonant voice tells them that murder is a sin. The creatures begin speaking, some praying, others muttering about heaven and punishment, which makes Toma tremble, convinced they've descended into hell itself. But Chobi, driven by fury and instinct, tears through the grotesque beings without hesitation, slaughtering them all. Standing amidst the carnage, he wipes the blood from his face and declares that if monsters like these are guarding the elixir, then it must truly exist, and he intends to claim it for himself even if it means killing everyone else on the island. Elsewhere, Sigiri regains consciousness inside a dim cavern. Genji informs her that she was poisoned by the butterfly's scales, but before he can say more, she's already on her feet, insisting she needs to check on Gabimaru. She finds him outside calmly preparing dinner, while Senta sits nearby, quietly mending their torn clothes. As they eat, Gabimaru shares what he's learned from scouting the island. The flora here, he explains, isn't normal. He found flowers resembling human features, just like the man shown to them before departure. That leads them to a grim realization. The people who vanished after coming here may have turned into plants themselves. Though they found nothing matching the official's crude drawing of the elixir, Senta suggests the illustration shouldn't be trusted anyway. No one who's been to this island truly returned sane. Sigiri points out how every creature seems to have mismatched anatomy, animal limbs fused with human torsos, and Senta adds that they all wear ornaments with religious motifs. Malformed gods, he muses, that seems to be the theme of this place. Later, Genji approaches Sigiri privately, urging her to return to the mainland. He believes she lacks the strength to survive here. Man, one thing I know for sure. You don't tell Sigiri she's weak. I mean, look at what happened to the previous red-haired Aizen guy who told her the same thing. Anyways, but Senta argues that returning is impossible. The sea itself won't let anyone leave. Meanwhile, another executioner, Tenza, attempts exactly that. He and the young girl Nerugai race across the beach, searching for an escape. They discover a cluster of wrecked ships, the remains of those who tried to flee before them. As they inspect the debris, ripples break the surface, monstrous shapes circling below. Tenza draws his sword just as a sea creature lunges, shattering their boat and forcing them to leap onto a nearby wreck. Tentacles rise from the water, thrashing violently. Tenza cuts them down, but Nerugai freezes, haunted by her past. In a flashback, we see her village peaceful and remote until samurai arrived under the guise of alliance, only to slaughter everyone. They spared Nerugai, using her as bait to locate other villages. Locked in despair, she was found by Tenza, who believed in her innocence and showed her the pardon scroll, offering her a chance at freedom. Back in the present, the two fight side by side until they stumble upon Kisho, whose body is now half blooming with flowers. Tenza calls out to him, but before he can respond, a tentacle rips him apart. See, I told you, I was right. Another guy who trash-talked Sigiri dead. If Genji dies too, that proves my point. The sight paralyzes Nerugai, reminding her of her grandfather's death. She collapses, blaming herself, begging Tenza to run and leave her behind. He shields her instead, shouting, "Do you really want to die here?" The question jolts her awake. She grips the sword he hands her, and together they carve through the monstrosities, making it back to a damaged boat. But once they set sail, they discover the sea currents drag them back toward the island, while monstrous silhouettes glide beneath the waves. Realizing escape is impossible for now, they resolve to find allies if they want any hope of surviving this cursed place. Back at the cavern, Genji again insists Sigiri must leave. Senta argues she could be the one to stop Gabimaru if he loses control, noting how much calmer he's become since meeting her. That evening, Sigiri finds Gabimaru tending the fire. He asks if she's feeling better, explaining that his earlier wound made the butterfly's poison act faster. He admits she's stronger than he is, not in power, but in presence. And though he can't explain it, he tells her that living through hardship will reveal her strength in time. The next morning, when Genji confronts her one last time, Sigiri refuses to go. He draws his sword to intimidate her, but in an instant, she disarms him with effortless precision. As he retrieves his blade, a thunderous crash interrupts them. Rokurota, the giant cannibal, emerges from the trees and swats Genji aside like an insect. In a flashback, we see Rokurota as a child, large, gentle, and endlessly hungry. His hands were always busy crushing things he meant to play with. One day, his hunger took control. He devoured everyone in his village. Now, his enormous form towers over Sigiri as he charges. Gabimaru intercepts him with a brutal kick, but Rokurota barely flinches. Gabimaru's instincts kick in. He studies his opponent, remembering his shinobi training, observe first, strike later. Rokurota rips a tree from the ground and hurls it like a spear. Gabimaru narrowly dodges, realizing this opponent might be physically stronger than him. He calls out to Yuzuriha for help, but she laughs, reminding him she's only responsible for gathering intel, and cheerfully starts cheering for him instead. Rokurota's blows tear through the air as Gabimaru ducks and weaves, each swing strong enough to crush bone. Desperate, Gabimaru hurls rocks, useless. He then hardens his sash with ninjutsu until it's tougher than steel, but even that barely slows the monster down. Every strike bounces off while the giant swings back with enough force to crack the ground. Gabimaru keeps circling, analyzing, but the thought creeps in, how do you kill something that doesn't even seem to know it's alive? Nearby, Sigiri's kneeling beside Genji, trying to treat his wounds, but he's coughing up blood and already knows what's coming. Stop wasting time, he growls. You can't save me, save yourself. She refuses, tightening the bandages anyway. I won't abandon you. That makes him stop, just for a second. Then he presses his sword into her hands. A warrior's blade is their soul, he says. Take mine and kill that monster. You've earned your place among us. Out in the chaos, Gabimaru's breathing ragged, out of tricks, down to one last option. His fire ninjutsu. It's risky, probably suicidal, but before he can move, Rokurota's finger suddenly goes flying. Sigiri's entered the fray, her blade glinting under the light. Gabimaru almost smiles. Perfect timing, he mutters, calling out, "Go for the legs!" He distracts the giant while she dives low, but her attack barely scratches him. Rokurota swings back, sending her sprawling, and she realizes she's been fighting with emotion, not instinct. Then comes that roar, deafening, raw, full of pain. Before Gabimaru can react, a massive hand slams him into the dirt. He's barely conscious when Sigiri steps between them. Something shifts. Her breathing slows, her focus sharpens. When the next strike comes, she meets it perfectly, parrying like it's second nature. Watching from a distance, Senta murmurs that Sigiri's ranked the lowest not because she's weak, but because she's a woman. Truth is, everyone knows she's one of the best. Her sword moves like wind through tall grass, cutting with precision and grace. Even Rokurota falters, stunned by her technique. She seizes her chance, but before she can land the finishing blow, the giant stumbles back. That's when Gabimaru reignites. Literally, fire bursts from his hands as flames rip through the forest. He's gonna smoke him out! Yuzuri yells, half panicked, half impressed. Trees ignite, smoke thickens, and Rokurota drops to his knees, choking. Sigiri steps forward, steady as ever, and with one clean motion, her sword flashes and it's over. Rokurota's head hits the ground, his body collapsing beside it. For a moment, the world goes quiet. Gabimaru breaks the silence, scanning the burning forest. The fire will bring company, he says. They leave the clearing, flames swallowing Genji's resting place behind them. Genji is dead as well, I told you guys. Sigiri curse is real. As they move through the trees, they notice the giants heading toward the smoke. If they're guarding something, Gabimaru mutters, it's probably that way, maybe the elixir. They regroup with Yuzuri and Senta, but freeze. Ahead lies a strange village, half buried in moss yet eerily intact. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Shobei and Toma stumble upon two near-human beings embracing under the trees. Are they kissing? Shobei mutters before one of them. Jufa, yellow-skinned and not in the mood, glares for interrupting. The brothers draw their weapons as the figures rise. Perfect, alien, unsettling. Back at the village, Gabimaru watches from the shadows, debating if these island dwellers are potential allies or the next nightmare. Then, something small moves, too fast, a figure darting between huts. He gives chase, catches up, and pulls back a hood to find a child. Before he can say a word, a tree-like monster lunges. He chases her down again, catches her wrist, and gets tossed to the ground like a rag doll. Sigiri arrives, calm but cautious, trying to talk the girl down. For a split second, the kid hesitates, then attacks again, her strength inhuman. Gabimaru restrains her with vines, hoisting her into the air until she starts crying. Sigiri gently comforts her, easing the tension. Then Yuzuri strolls in, stretching. You're welcome, that tree thing was a pain, but before anyone can relax, the ground shakes. The tree creature speaks. Yes, speaks. Return the girl, it rumbles, and I'll take you to the village. I can tell you about the elixir. Yuzuri narrows her eyes. And why should we trust a talking tree? There's a pause. We also have a bath. Yuzuri immediately brightens. Lead the way. They follow it through mist and ruins to a quiet, ghostly settlement. The homes are ancient, the air heavy. Inside, Yuzuri sinks into a steaming bath with Sigiri, sighing in pure bliss, while outside, the men sit in uneasy silence, the tree creature serving food. The place feels wrong, too calm, like something's still here, just waiting to wake up. It finally speaks, calling the island Kotaku, a place where gods supposedly live. Yeah, sure, totally normal island stuff. Then it drops the bomb. The Elixir of Life is real, known here as Tan. To back that up, it draws 3 circles in the dirt like it's teaching a class, saying they're in the second ring, while the elixir itself sits dead center in Horai, the heart of the island. Gabimaru, naturally skeptical, asks for proof, and the creature just shrugs. Once they meet the Tenzin, beings of eternal beauty and immortality, they'll understand. Meanwhile, Chobi's over here learning firsthand what Immortal really means when the Tenzin Jufa literally regenerates after being sliced in half like it's nothing. The brothers get beaten senseless and dumped into a pit full of half-human, half-flower corpses. Hako introduces himself properly, along with the little girl Mei. explaining that they've both been stuck here for centuries, cursed to live forever on this nightmare island. Later, Gabimaru and Sigiri head to a bathhouse for a much-needed break, only to find Mei already there, crying her eyes out. Gabimaru, ever the blunt one, tells her it's fine, his whole village bathed together. Totally helps the mood. Sigiri notices a scar on Mei's body, which sparks a memory of Gabimaru's wife, the woman who taught him about peace and vulnerability. He gently tells Mei not to hide her scars, saying the most beautiful woman he's ever known has one too. Sigiri silently realizes how much he's changed, but Gabimaru reminds himself that getting soft won't bring him closer to the elixir. Then we flash back to Tenza's past, growing up in the slums, fighting and stealing just to survive, until one day, he beats up some samurai and gets stopped by Shion, a calm, blind executioner who instantly spots his potential. Cut to the present, Tenza and Nurugai are patrolling the island's shore when a Tenzin named Zujin shows up, shifting from a gorgeous androgynous being into a full-on monster. It asks if they're the ones killing its minions, then immediately blasts Tenza across the beach with an energy wave. Nurugai rushes in, but Zujin's too fast. Tenza slashes its eyes, but it just heals, because of course it does. They try to escape, but Zujin blocks the way until Shion's sword suddenly flies in, striking it and buying them a moment. Despite being blind, Shion fights with incredible awareness, reading vibrations like an anime daredevil. He admits he came to find a way off the island but sensed something massive lurking in the ocean, something not human. When he asks why Tenza's risking everything for Nurugai, Tenza insists she's innocent and worth saving. Shion hears the conviction in his voice and decides to help, but before they can move, Zujin attacks again, slicing Shion's neck open. Tenza goes berserk, throwing every move he's got, but Zujin barely reacts. Then casually flicks a finger, punching 4 holes straight through Tenza's chest. As he falls, we see flashbacks of his days training under Shion, always getting back up, never giving in. We even see Aizen showing him the grave of Shion's old student, Teshun, a boy who quit, fell into crime, and was executed by Shion himself. That loss made Shion swear to never give up on his students again, and now, Tenza remembers all of it. Refusing to die like Teshun, he drags himself up, bleeding and broken, no sword, no plan, just raw determination. For once, he's not fighting for pride or survival, he's fighting to protect the one person who gave his life meaning. Tenza keeps swinging like a man possessed. Blood floods the ground, his voice is gone, but Shion understands without words, scoops Nurugai up, and runs while Tenza strikes slow, then stop, and he collapses with a faint, satisfied smile as the others vanish into the trees. His death lands like a hammer, and Shion drops to his knees, eyes cold with a quiet promise of hell for Zujin. Meanwhile, Senta obsesses over scraps of clues in the village, refusing sleep despite Sigiri's pleadings, and night falls with Gabimaru restless and sharp as ever. Waiting is pointless, so he slips away while Senta dozes and stalks toward Horai, guided by instinct and a stubborn grudge. The forest turns stranger as he walks, trees bowing and whispering like monks, until he finds a massive sealed gate humming with otherworldly energy. And right then, Zujin appears behind him, polite at first, then lethal. Leave now. Gabimaru ignores the warning, asks if humans can really be turned into elixir, and the polite mask snaps as Zujin lunges. Gabimaru snaps an arm, crushes a neck with a flaming kick, burns and bludgeons and thinks he's won, only to have bones pop back and a punch send him through stone, so he studies the pattern, lands a dent that makes Zujin cough blood, and the Tenzin just smirks, shifts into a new form, and rains energy down like artillery until Zujin blooms into a grotesque flower beast and the world rips apart. Gabimaru barely holds on. The next blow sends him spiraling into an illusion where he wakes beside his wife in a silence that feels like peace, but it's fake. Zujin snaps him back, bones breaking, vision fading, and he remembers the shinobi rule, if you die, make it count. So he detonates in flame, sears Zujin's arm and collapses, certain death until Mei appears like a shard of light, throws up a shimmering barrier and hauls him to safety. Dawn comes, confusion follows, and the island's politics unfold, Hoko explains. There are 7 Tenzin who gather at the temple in the core. Jufa mocks Zujin for overdoing his Tao until their leader, Rien, calm and terrifying, reminds them they're family and only he can judge a Tenzin, Jufa reports. The brothers were tossed into the flower pit as fertilizer, but Rien doubts it because these humans aren't ordinary. Cut to the brothers crawling free from that pit, alive and stubborn, and Hoko telling Sigiri's group the island's sad myth. Once human people chased immortality, turned into wood, and worshipped at Horai, which is less a place and more a gate to the afterlife where the Tenzin decide who passes. Gabimaru wakes among the ruins scorched and broken but alive, rewinding the fight and grinning grimly because he finally understands the crucial detail. The Tenzin bleed, they can die, and killing them will take strategy, allies, and time. As if to underline that lesson, Fuchi and Tamiya show up looking like scavengers at a wreck. Tamiya pats his sword and smirks. "You look half dead, Gabimaru. Should I finish the job?" And yep, Trouble just RSVP'd to the party. But before anyone can swing, Fuchi puts the brakes on. He's all about intel first, drawing his sword just enough to make a point, ready to extract answers from Gabimaru without turning him into Swiss cheese. And then, Gabimaru bows, cool as ice, calmly proposing they team up. Tamiya's grin flashes razor sharp as he threatens to cut him down, testing his nerve, but Gabimaru doesn't flinch. That earns a silent nod of respect because yeah, you can't fake that kind of composure. Fuchi's curiosity sparks while Tamiya's smirk fades when Gabimaru drops the bomb, the Tensen, immortal beings ruling the island. Suddenly, glory isn't just a word for Tamiya, it's a god-slaying obsession. Fuchi, on the other hand, just wants to dissect one, nerding out over their anatomy. Reluctantly, the trio agrees to work together. Then, out of nowhere, Mei stirs awake, her body more grown than before, calling Gabimaru's name in a voice that actually works now. He freezes, the realization hitting him, she can speak. He thanks her quietly and wonders if she's like the Tensen. Meanwhile, Senda's piecing together the island's dark secret, concluding the whole religious setup is man-made, designed to control life itself. That flower transformation curse? Not divine punishment, it's just an experiment, a clue pointing straight to the Elixir of Life. Mei explains, haltingly, that the Tensen draw power from Tao, a life force flowing through everything. It's vague, sure, but Hoko jumps in, saying Tao isn't just life. It's the current that shapes the universe itself. Elsewhere, Noodle Guy tries to ambush Shion, demanding a quick masterclass in swordsmanship. One smooth motion later, he disarms her and refuses, saying she's not ready. She pleads, desperate not to watch her loved ones die again. Shion softens and drops wisdom. Every living thing emits waves, frequencies you can feel to see the world in darkness. That's the same principle Hoko called Tao. He shows her the form, unsheathing his sword as monsters charge in, cutting through them with a rhythm that doubles as a lesson in timing and awareness. Meanwhile, Gabimaru's crew is facing their own monster buffet. The ground shakes, beasts closing in, and Gabimaru's eyes narrow on a silhouette lurking among them, just watching. Deep underground, two Tensen talk shop about the pit, where humans merge into flowers and feed the island. Escape? Forget it. The transforms stop anyone who tries. Still, Chobi's climbing, hauling his brother Tuma up through writhing roots. Flowermen attack, but rage-fueled Chobe crushes them aside, declaring the Tensen's weak point, their lower bodies, the source of regeneration. They reach the surface, greeted by a humanoid monster with a calm, intelligent voice. It calls itself a Doshi, right hand of the Tensen, and orders them back into the pit. Chobe doesn't bother negotiating, he attacks. The Doshi dodges, punches back, but Chobe grabs its arm mid-swing and tears it off. It grows back immediately, of course, because of course. More monsters swarm in, but Toma cuts with surgical precision while Chobe keeps brawling. The Doshi senses his Tao and mocks his sloppy control, regenerating like it owns the place. But here's the thing, Chobe's Tao mutates mid-fight, his body adapting like some island-fueled beast. The Doshi lands a brutal slash, thinking it's game over, but Chobe grins through the blood, driving his fist straight into its face and standing tall even as his arm snaps and heals again. The realization hits the Doshi hard, this guy's changed, merged with the island itself. Chobe smirks, eyes blazing with new understanding. Then I guess I've learned your trick, he says, ready to tear gods apart, roots and all. Chobe feels something twisting inside him, veins like writhing vines, but instead of panicking, he just laughs. Nothing in this world ever stays the same, he says, and you can tell he means it. The Doshi's eyes narrow, clearly unsettled, hinting that maybe this guy isn't human anymore. Chobe? He doesn't care, he's too busy loving the fight. Flashback time, when the brothers were first captured by bandits, their clean hands and soft faces made the thugs laugh. Until Chobe slices his own eye open. That same fire is burning now as he charges the Doshi, tanking Tao blasts and landing a brutal strike right in its navel. The Doshi retreats, trying another energy blast, but Chobe dodges like it's nothing, claiming he can see the Tao flowing around its body. Reinforcements? Too late. Toma's already shredded them to mulch. The Doshi tries gathering energy in its hand, but Chobe stomps down, mimicking the move and blasting a literal hole through its stomach with raw power. He feels its Tao flicker, almost gone, and demands answers about the Tensen, all while Toma stares in horror. Marks spread across Chobe's body, twisting like vines, mirroring the scar Mei carries. Meanwhile, Tamiya's learning Tao the hard way, trial, error, wild swings, and Mei sighing at his technique. Gabimaru isn't doing much better, struggling to control the flow, while Fuchi watches Mei like she's a walking mystery, thinking maybe she's not entirely human. Gabimaru remembers how she saved him before, powers that were far from human. Suddenly, the doshi leading a nearby pack recognizes Mei and lunges, clashing with Tamiya. Strong as he is, Tamiya can't stop it from snatching her. The doshi grins, revealing she was once part of Horai, banished after disappearing, forbidden to be sought by the Tensen. But this one disobeyed. Gabimaru demands answers, and the doshi sneers. Mei doesn't belong with humans. She, like the Tensen, feeds on human essence. He orders her back, but Mei only looks at Gabimaru, sadness in her eyes. He steps forward, steady but furious, telling her not to cry. Then, another doshi shows up, and together they summon monstrous centipedes and butterflies. Tamiya charges, instantly blasted aside by Tau energy. Gabimaru's group reels under the onslaught as the doshis explain the horrifying truth. Mei is a training partner for mastering Tau. There are 5 steps, and the most crucial one requires a partner in intimate synchronization. Everything contains yin and yang energy, circulating perfectly through union. Mei, with the purest yin, was created for this role, but she was banished for being incomplete, yin without yang, inferior to the Tensen. Gabimaru's fury ignites. No way are they taking her back. The doshis bloom into monstrous forms like Zujin's flower beasts. Tamiya duels the butterfly creature while Gabimaru burns through a centipede arm with a flaming strike. Dao blasts rain down, but Gabimaru dodges blind. He breathes fire to form a wall, blocking the swarm. Frustrated, he mutters about barely sensing Tau, wishing for clarity. Fuchi steps in, finally connecting the dots. Control comes from balance, surrender, understanding the flow. Mei takes Gabimaru's hand, guiding his awareness, while he recalls Sigiri's words about calm and resolve. His Dao surges, massive and overwhelming. The doshis attack again, launching volleys, but Gabimaru reads every move. He lightly touches a fist, snapping an arm like a twig, then drives a kick through both doshis, breaking their stance. Tamiya refuses to be outdone, slicing the centipede clean in half, while Gabimaru incinerates the butterfly doshi to ash. Victory finally, or so they think. Their allies push open the massive doors to Horai, only to have the mood shattered when Mudan, a Tensen, casually decapitates Hoko. Smiling eerily, he announces they're the first humans to reach this sacred place. Yuzuri panics, running, but Mudan grabs her effortlessly, his voice calm, almost conversational. "I just want to talk," he says. Yeah, that's not suspicious at all. Hako spills the truth. Mudan is one of the Tensen, and he's already accelerated Hako's transformation. The truth? This island is a laboratory, and humans are the experiments. He gestures toward the Kyoshi, grotesque, twisted beings made from human flesh. And then he drops the kicker. There is no elixir of life. Consuming tan, it just turns people into trees, like Hako and the villagers. Mudan smirks, telling them their journey ends here, inviting them to ascend with him. But before anyone can react, Yuzuri swaps places with a log and ambushes him, slicing off his head. Victory? Not quite. Mudan's body writhes, head reattaching like it's no big deal, and he commands the Kyoshi to attack. Yuzuri barely keeps pace, relying on her rudimentary Tao Chi as she calls it, but she's far from mastering it. Mudan grins, offering to make her his Dao training partner, and blasts Sigiri across the clearing mid-explanation. That's when Sina charges, cutting him up like a boss. Yuzuri downs a vial, her skin slick with strange fluids, and explains her ninjutsu. She can secrete whatever she swallows. Snake venom this time. She lashes out, binding Mudan in burning, corrosive coils, carving him apart. But of course, he regenerates, amused. He calls her technique a crude, promising Dao variant, then toys with both her and Senna, evading strikes, catching Yuzuri by the leg, shoving Senna aside like a doll. Hako whispers to Sigiri about the Tensen's weak point, and Sigiri suddenly rushes in. Mudan dodges, mocking her Dao output as average, but she hurls her blades straight into his navel, his Dao core. He laughs it off, calling her Dao unrefined, but she closes her eyes, breathes, sharpens her presence. Dao surges. She slashes again, grazing his face. The wound doesn't heal. She's been sensing Dao all along. Enraged, Mudan lunges, but Yuzuri binds him once more. Sigiri goes for the finishing blow, but he counters with a Dao explosion. Sigiri keeps pressing, allies chopping at Mudan's limbs to open a window, but he takes flight. Raining Tau blasts like missiles. Sigiri hides behind rubble, trembling, nearly breaking. Yuzuri shouts, urging her to believe she can kill a Tensen. Fueled by those words, Yuzuri lashes her venom around Mudan's leg, enduring a barrage, and slams him down. Mudan rises only for Senna to impale him from behind. Sigiri charges, cleaving him through the navel. Mudan finally collapses, defeated. Victory tastes hollow though, no elixir. None of it real. Flashback, Senna never wanted to be an executioner. His family forced him into it. Religion justified the killings. He rose in the ranks, praised for it. Meeting Yuzuri changed him, envy, admiration, freedom he never had. Back in the present, Gabimaru stands among the ashes of the doshi, still wrestling with Dao mastery. He asks Mei why she follows him, but blood spills from his nose. He collapses. Strange flowers bloom around them, lashing out. Sina leaps in front of Yuzuri, shielding her, and in the next instant, his body blooms into blossoms. From his remains rises a massive flower beast, Mudan, fully transformed. He unleashes a storm of petals and energy. But before he can strike, a blade flashes. Shion arrives, ordering Nurugai to get the others clear. He'll handle Mudan himself. Shion has grasped Dao, sensing the waves of living things. Nurugai hacks at roots, overtaking Sina, slowing the spread. Sigiri wonders if they can save him. Yuzuri kneels, trying to heal what's left. Shion and Mudan clash fiercely. Shion cuts deep, forcing Mudan back, awe striking the onlookers. Sigiri notices Mudan's regeneration faltering. Shion's Dao is precise, surgical. But it comes at a cost. Shion's body blooms with flowers. Without hesitation, he slices them off, blood pouring. Sigiri wants to help, but Nurugai urges a group strike. Yuzuri shakes her head, exhausted. Nurugai hugs her, then reaches for Sigiri. Confused, they realize Sigiri is transferring what little Tao remains. Together, they prepare for one last strike. She tells him about the Tenzin's weak spot, the navel, but Shion frowns. Mudan has two. Even a graze from his energy could be fatal. Sigiri explains their countermeasure. They've coated themselves in Yuzuri's mucus, a natural barrier against his toxic spores and the flower infection. They'll act as decoys. Mudan suddenly appears behind Nurugai, but Sigiri reacts instantly, slicing through his creeping vines. Shion, impressed, realizes she's sensing Dao waves the same way he does, predicting Mudan's movements before they happen. He moves to strike, but Mudan launches a barrage, shaking the ground. Sigiri and Nurugai cut down the vines closing in, and Shion finds his opening, severing one of Mudan's legs. His regeneration slows, and for the first time, Sigiri feels they might actually win. Exhaustion, however, is catching up. Mudan rises again, unleashing a storm of Dao energy flooding the field. Shion presses forward, haunted by the memory of letting Tenza die. He won't run this time. Sigiri and Nurugai pin Mudan's arms, giving Shion a clear shot. He gathers all his power into one decisive slash, but hesitates. The navel doesn't feel alive. There are no Dao waves there. Time is running out. Then, Senna's faint voice cuts through the chaos, telling him to strike the flower's center. The life force gathers there. Pivoting, Shion drives his blade straight through it. The explosion tears through Mudan, and the Tenzin finally falls. Sigiri rushes to Senna's side, but Yuzuri shakes her head. His time is nearly over. She has enough left for one final healing, but she chooses to use it on Shion instead. Sigiri protests, but Yuzuri is firm, realistic. She turns to Senna, telling him to be honest in his final moments. As he fades, he imagines being held by the one he admired most, finally at peace. When the dust settles, the survivors gather themselves. Sigiri vows not to lose anyone else. No longer does she see them as executioners or convicts, just people fighting to live. She promises to get everyone home alive. Meanwhile, Gabimaru wakes elsewhere, instantly alert. Tamiya tells him to calm down. Confused, Gabimaru asks where they are. Fuchi explains they found a cave halfway up the valley. Clear as day, Gabimaru's lost his memory. Back with Sigiri's group, they move forward and stumble upon a stretch of ancient statues and temples, eerily quiet. They take shelter in one, changing into spare robes, Yuzuri finds. As they rest, Shion reviews what they know. Dao exists in all living things. Mastering it can grant superhuman power, but it's dangerous. Overuse drains life, causing collapse, memory loss, even death. Yuzuri sighs, asking what's the point if the Elixir of Life doesn't exist? The Shogun will never accept that. Sigiri recalls Gabimaru insisting it was real, claiming his village chief was immortal. Yuzuri doubts it, saying shinobi villages often used illusions to brainwash children. Even Gabimaru's story about his wife seems off. Maybe she never existed. A shinobi's life leaves no room for love or freedom. Another illusion crafted to control him. Gabimaru himself sits quietly, only remembering his name, Gabimaru the Hollow. He plays along with Fuchi and the others, quietly gathering clues. Mei asks if he's okay. He says yes, but she senses turmoil beneath the calm. Later, under the moonlight, Sigiri keeps watch. Shion joins her. She thinks of everyone they've lost and can't shake worry for Gabimaru. Shion teases her, asking if she likes him. She admits it's not like that. She just finds it tragic. He's fighting so hard for a woman who might not even exist. Despite his past as a killer, she doesn't see him as evil. She just hopes he finds peace, or maybe, the truth. And that's where this episode ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breakdowns. Until next time.